The Windows 95 desktop is at first an uninviting sight for the hardened 3.1 user. No sign of Program Manager. The myriad of original icons are replaced with just a few icons and not much else. Don't let first impressions put you off. There's a ton of functionality to discover in Windows 95, and most of it is great. Let's start with the real basics. Our first port of call is the Start button at the bottom left of the Windows 95 desktop. This is where your work with Windows 95 starts, and more surprisingly, finishes. That's right, you can shut down Windows 95 from here. Let's start by pressing the button. A single click of the mouse is all that's needed, and that's the first surprise in Windows 95. Single clicks will get you much further than they did in Windows 3.1. Using the Start button, it's possible to navigate your way around Windows 95 using a double click only when you need to launch an application or open a file. Back to the Start menu. You'll notice that there are a number of options available. For now, we'll concentrate on Programs. When the mouse pointer is moved over this option, a further menu pops up. Some of the folder names may look familiar, as the old Program Manager folders have been incorporated into the Start button. Moving the cursor over Accessories brings up another menu detailing the contents of the folder. Notice that there are more than just icons in here. There are folders too, showing that it's now possible to nest folders within Windows, something that was previously impossible. Let's have a look at a Windows 95 application. Dropping down the list to WordPad, we double-click the icon to open it. An application running under Windows 95 is different in a number of key ways. Most disconcerting is the absence of the Minimize and Maximize button on the top right of the application window. These have been replaced by three new icons. The first two are the new versions of Minimize and Maximize. The last is a one-step close button. Single-click this and WordPad will close. Let's not put WordPad away just yet. There are a few more things to look at. Notice the taskbar at the bottom of the screen. Whenever an application is open in Windows 95, it appears here. Let's open Paint at the same time to demonstrate. The taskbar is always visible so that it's impossible to lose a window behind another one. You simply press the respective button on the taskbar to make it the active window. Minimizing an open window no longer reduces that application to an icon. Instead, the window is placed onto the taskbar. The actual movement is animated to ensure that newcomers don't lose minimized documents. Back to WordPad. Notice that the Close button has disappeared, but you still pull up the traditional menu with a single click on the left-hand side of the title bar. Those with ingrained double-click habits will be pleased to hear that you can still close an application with a double-click here too. With a little sample text added to WordPad, it's time to save a document. Simply drop down the File menu as usual and choose the Save As option. The Save As dialog probably doesn't look too familiar, but it's here you can try out a really significant feature of Windows 95, long file names. We've called the document My First Windows 95 File. Now it's time to close everything down. With the screen clear, we hit the Start button again. This time we'll have a look at what lurks behind the Documents menu option. Clicking this brings up a list of the documents recently opened, with the most recent file at the top. Clicking on the file makes the file open in WordPad, the application in which it was created. This is a real time saver, and can have you back working on last night's document within seconds. Overall, Windows 95 has a far more document-centric way of working. To put this in plain English, Windows 95 is far more concerned with the files you work with than with the applications that are used to run or create them. This becomes apparent when you open the My Computer icon. A double click on this brings up a more traditional view of your PC than the Start button will deliver, complete with icons representing disk and CD-ROM drives installed. To have a look at the contents of your C drive, including all of your folders, or directories as they used to be known, and files, you just double-click on the drive letter. Opening the Windows folder, we can see that each file is represented by an icon. The icon used relates directly to the application it's associated to. As you can see, the view is rather cluttered. You can reduce this by showing files as small icons or as a list, from an option in the View menu. You'll also notice that as we open Windows, the original is kept open, which can also clutter the desktop. Turn this off with the option dialog from the View menu, and we have just one window open at any time. You can also elect to make certain files invisible from here, to make it easier to find documents and the like where a quantity of ancillary system files like DLLs might live. But why is this document-centric, you ask? Have a look at the File menu and you'll see a new option. This can be used to create a file associated with installed applications. In Windows 95, you're far better off opening the document you want by double-clicking it, rather than taking the Windows 3.1 approach of opening Word from Program Manager, then finding the report 27.doc file you created 3 weeks ago. Incidentally, you can run good old Program Manager from Windows 95, and File Manager if you so desire. You'll find them in your Windows directory. Let's explore the Windows 95 desktop a little. In Windows 3.1, the desktop wasn't much use for anything except displaying your favorite bitmap. You can still do this in Windows 95, but you can also store programs here, files, and shortcuts. To move a file here, we just drag and drop a file to the desktop. The icon and file name then appears. From here you can double-click the file as usual to open it. Renaming is also a piece of cake. Click on and hold the mouse pointer over the file name and the text is highlighted. We can now type in the new file name. The technique is the same for a folder. We've got a little desktop clutter which we don't need, so let's clear up. We've highlighted the file and the folder by dragging a border around them with the mouse, and then hit the Delete key. Windows 95 then asks whether we want to send these files to the recycle bin. This is a key point. Delete an icon in Windows 3.1, and all you delete is a pretty picture. You can always create another icon later. Delete an icon in Windows 95, and you delete the underlying file too. Bear that in mind when you're asked to confirm deletion of your Excel folder. All is not lost when you delete a file, however. Zapped files are stored in the recycle bin until it's emptied. This means you can just open the bin and copy files back to your system, providing you with a fallback position if you get trigger happy with your delete key. Emptying the recycle bin frees up disk space and is a menu option from the bin's File menu. Shortcuts are a far neater solution to folders and files on the desktop. To create one of these, we use the right mouse button to drag and drop a file, let's say WordPad, to the desktop. This creates an alias for the file, allowing us to access it quickly without affecting the file itself. Even better, when you move the original file, Windows 95 will automatically find the file again for you. Very handy if more than one person uses the same PC. To save time, you can even create shortcuts to your hard drive or your printer. We're on the desktop, so let's have a look at how it can be configured. First of all, the taskbar can be moved to any one of 4 positions on the screen. To fit more icons on, we just drag the edge of the taskbar to create more space. We can also set the taskbar so that it's only shown when the mouse pointer is moved across it. To do this, we right-click the taskbar to bring up the Properties dialog. From here we can access all the properties in Windows 95 on files, folders, hard disks, and even the desktop itself. You can see for yourself what the properties for the taskbar are. The desktop properties can completely alter the look of your Windows 95 setup. Try some of these looks for size. We've only scratched the surface of Windows 95. There's a huge amount to explore in the interface, including integrated device handling, new applets to try, as well as a whole new way of working. Next month we'll be taking a deeper look at Windows 95, covering topics such as autoplay, the Microsoft Network, and plug-and-play, as well as the operating system's multimedia capabilities. See you then!